All right, so this video is meant to show you how to manipulate data in Google Sheets. Especially, it's useful if you're graphing multiple representations of a given data set. So let's say you have some data, you have just some X and Y values, and you would go ahead and, you wanted to graph these, and another video shows you how to do that. But let's say that you wanted to graph X versus Y squared, and unfortunately, Google Sheets is limited and it doesn't allow you to superscript. So let's say you're going to graph y squared. What you would do, you'd copy down this data, since you don't need to copy that down again. And you could mentally say, okay, well, this is going to be 4, and then 9, and then 16, and then 25, and then 36, and then 49, and then what do I got? 64, and then 81. Because you have the ability to do mental math. I trust you in that. But what happens when it gets a little harder, or if your numbers are decimal? So like, let's say, what if I asked you to graph x and y cubed? That gets a little trickier, and you might not know all those values, especially if they're decimal values, and you would in the past just have to calculate those by hand. But Google Sheets can actually do that calculation for you. So I'm going to show you how to do that. So we're still going to want to keep our data near each other so that when we do go ahead and graph it, we can easily grab the cells like how I've showed you in the past. But let's say now we want to have this column be y cubed, and we don't want to have to go through and calculate this out by hand. So we're going to create a function that's going to do this for us. So you go ahead and select the cell that you want to insert that value in, and you're going to come up here to this bar where it has the function symbol, and you're going to go ahead and write what your function is. So we're going to want this to be equal to y cubed. Well, what is our y value? Our y value, our first y value is right here, y2. So we're going to say d5, and then we're going to cube it. So we're going to raise it to the power 3. Oh, hold on. I lost my d5 there. I'm going to say d5, and then I'm going to raise it to the power of 3. And now I'm going to press enter, and it gives me that value right there as 8. So this is saying that that is just 2 cubed. Now, you could go through here and do the same thing and say, well, this is going to be equal to this quantity. It just gets really cumbersome. So instead of doing it that way, though, so I'm going to delete that because that's just tedious, what you can do is go back to the original function you created and select that cell, and see how there's that drop down or that little block there. If you select that and drag it down, it will automatically it'll populate it for you. It'll say, okay, well, I recognize that for this cell, you're going to want to grab D6, and for this cell, you're going to want to grab D7, and for this cell, and it does it for you. So you don't have to calculate all those values. Again, this makes it really easy to manipulate data, especially when you're going to go then try and graph that data. Okay, so hopefully that makes sense.